Ahoy there, mateys! Welcome aboard the Riff, Raff podcast. We are the pirates of the spicy waters. Come along with us and hoist the sail. We're navigating life through story and tale. We'll help you embrace the way you're wired, sharing laughs and lessons to get you inspired. If you join us, we will help you see there are a lot of ways to sail the neurospicy sea.
Because I know they really want to talk about this topic.
I do. Mm-hmm. We're going.
Okay.
Jumping in. Buckle up, folks. Just got to drop my mic a little here. Mic drop. Elizabeth has had a lot of peopling. It's just Sydney and Elizabeth today. So you're going to get a lot of us.
Have fun.
Enjoy. We think we're live. We're not sure. We're kind of white knuckling it. Right knuckling? No, because raw dogging has a lot of different connotations for people. It's not the dirty one. It's the. We're just.
I think white knuckling would be more appropriate, even though.
I'm not afraid. Are you afraid?
No.
I feel like white knuckling is when you're gripping.
Yeah,
so
it's very. Yeah, but
yeah,
then
we're loosey goosying it.
Loosey goosey, baby. Loosey goosey.
Loosey goosey, baby.
If you only listen to the audio, we did some dance moves.
For descriptive video.
For full accessibility.
Which we usually save for 10 o'clock when Maddie's message from Alexa goes off. So good morning. Welcome to Across the Desk. We are Riff Raffing it today. And I think we need to revisit why we called ourselves the Riff Raff. Just for context. What are we thinking?
It's like, I know why we call, but like the specific, like it was like definition shared, like I can't remember this hyper specifics.
It was the Prozac.
It was.
So what we wanted to focus on, all of our team, right? So I'm Elizabeth Plouffe. I'm the founder of Spiro Canada and began as a co-founder, no longer a co-founder of what was Socially ASD, which is now Nimble ND. So I focus specifically on supporting neurodivergent individuals in, it's broader than this, but it's predominantly employment, but not traditional employment. I focus on manufacturing and trades, because my husband and son are both neurodivergent and both in trades. I'm ADHD. My daughter just got diagnosed ADHD. Fun house. All of our team is neurodivergent in some capacity. Sydney, do you want to? We try and do this every time just in case somebody's new.
Yes.
So, do you want to share your letters?
There's a lot of letters.
They are multi-certified.
Alphabet soup, if you would. But I am autistic. I have ADHD, and there's other ones that I won't get into right now. But just know it's my head can be a mess, but I try to rationalize it out and try to make it
be a mess.
It can but I think by finding my voice, now encouraging others to find my voice, it helps my mind and my brain be a little less of a mess. And
Cluttered.
I also cluttered. Yes. Thank you, Elizabeth. And I think I also help neurodivergence in employment, as well as other disabled folks. And I also have a background in human resources. So I really come from both that lived experience lens and also that human resources lens to really bridge those gaps.
And then we have two other folk that join us. Paul Coleman and I were at the AGM for the Canadian Association of Mold Makers yesterday. This ties in beautifully to part of our topic because it was a lot of great peopling, but if you are neurodivergent and happen to be, I am an ambivert, but tend towards introversion. So behaving well with other people for an extended period of time can be problematic. And then we're going to jump into what that might be a good segue. And then, so Maddie is autistic, ADHD, LGBTQ+ in the non-binary sense. parent of 4 individuals who are also neurospicy in their own ways. And they are intersectional in that they are also had a car accident, so they're in a wheelchair for motor issues. Paul Coleman, neurospicy, ADHD, also ASD, and the parent of 4 neurospicy individuals. So like we're all navigating life in various messes, clutters, whatever you want to call it. And we all have a professional background of some designation that helps us bring, I think a different lens.
I think so.
It's
like different enough, but similar. Different, but similar. Like we all have our unique.
You know what? That should have been the name of the podcast.
Different, but similar. Yeah.
Different but similar. Oh, that's given me so many ideas. Okay, so we went
Ding,
with.
ding, ding. Well, my she said she has ADHD, folks.
Yeah. Keep up. So we went with the Riff Raff podcast because the Riff Raff are the outliers. Used to be, it's a combination of things. Used to be looked down upon, but it was always somebody on the outside who didn't fit the norm, who made people uncomfortable, like whatever it was. And all of us have had that experience and supported kids who've had that experience and whatever. And we want to reclaim the Riff Raff name to be, I've always told my kids, my son uses it against me on a weekly basis. I've always told my kids being weird is awesome. And don't ever if anybody calls you weird, just say thank you. Because them using that as an insult is all about them, not you. And my son still, I'll say, you effing weirdo. He's 28. I don't swear at kids, but he's like, you effing weirdo. And he's like, you raised me to think that was okay. And I'm like, yeah, my bad. Oops. So we've been talking about, if you're listening to this out of order, completely fair, because we're catching up. We have been focused on connection and communication. I had to look at the list because there's an official title.
Maddie's here.
Here they come. Hey, princess. We've already introduced.
It was 7:30, and then it was 9:18.
And that's what I said to Sydney. I'm like, how much do you want to bet? There's still
I
yeah. I think every alarm that may have gone off was part of the dream that I had. Yeah. I had this dream where I was opening up a computer store again in a mall, and it was boring at first because nobody came, and then all of a sudden everybody came, and it was busy and it was crazy, and my machine didn't work, and then people were coming to pick up computers. I'm like, that were getting fixed. It's like, but I just opened today. Anyways, I'm here. Hello, good morning, and welcome to the show.
We already did all of that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We're skipping over.
Yeah.
Speaking of people and connecting and communication, this is the ever-loving Maddie Dever. And we think we're live today. We're not sure because I don't know why this setting is on. So we just decided to loosey-goosey it. So we're just going with it. And then today's topic is around independence, codependence, compliance, autonomy, all that kind of good stuff. And what that means for individuals. And what I had shared at the beginning, Maddie, is that Paul and I were at an AGM yesterday. And while I am an ambivert, I more identify with being introverted. So I love people, but there are times where I've had enough people and I will come home and my family knows to just, mommy's had to be chatty all day and watch her tongue. So
talk at your own peril.
Talking.
Yeah.
That's t-shirt. Like that so needs to be a t-shirt. Paul's messaging at the same time. Oh, okay. No, it's okay. So not that what Paul said isn't important, but it's not to do with the podcast. I feel like saying to them, I'm in a podcast right now,
You can say, Paul, you want a podcast? No? Then
Maddie says, Ollie, want a podcast.
I was
See what
just
you're
filling all the messages.
So yeah, Paul lives out in Windsor, where we were yesterday. Put him at like 45 minutes from his trailer, which is his happy place. But Wi-Fi is a little up there, and so is data. So sometimes they can join, sometimes they can't. Paul's, little does he know he's joining the podcast regardless. He says, "Not saying you have to respond. My brain needs
He can't escape. He can't escape.
I'm going to say I'm sharing this chat.
I'm live sharing the chat in the podcast.
Yes.
Not that I'm going to say not that.
I love how your keyboard is also a member of this chat.
Well, it is for right
this
now.
podcast. Yeah, exactly.
He's LOL.
You have the loudest keyboard I've heard.
Sensitive ears.
And sensitive ears.
It's not like
but I've seen
maybe it's both. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Hey, speaking of people,
I can't believe it's not butter.
Oh my brother and I got into a butter versus margarine discussion. Well, my brother works for Richardson Seed Oil here in Oakville, but lives out in BC. So we're very lucky that he gets flown out here to do business. And then because we're all local, we get to see him. And it was his birthday on Monday. We got to see him last week for his birthday. And because he works with Richardson Seed Oil, obviously he knows a lot about margarine. And he's like, no, margarine's good for you. I'm like, it's disgusting. I can't do it. And that whole can't believe it's not butter. I can believe it's not butter because it's not butter.
You know, maybe he says all these things because of the profit margarines.
Oh, okay. Where's your outlet?
But if I put it in the chat, you're going to read it anyways.
No, that's just a follow. No. Well, I might, but you never know. Okay. Today's the day. So,
hello.
One of the things we've touched on off and on for the past couple of podcasts has been specifically around communication, connection, that type of thing. And we've dived into how to ask for help, what that can look like for folks. I have always struggled with that huge. Not completely sure why. Could be the way I'm built. Part of it has to do with how I was raised. And then differentiating between loneliness and being alone. I mean, raise your hand on the podcast if you're okay being alone sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all raising our hands, by the way, if you can't actually see us. Yeah, raise your hands on an audio podcast.
Maybe
the silence is deafening.
They heard the swoosh as my hand hit my magical noisy keyboard. And
it's a day.
And then, because a lot of folks think, and on some level are right, that autistics behave.
There was such a pause after think, because some people don't think.
Well, because I'm trying to put it in a way. It is a serious challenge, right? Okay. Because I get a lot of parents. So part of what I do is a board games night twice a month and job lab twice a month. And we run things a little differently in that the board games night in particular is peer-led, peer-driven. I try and create as much autonomy, independence as possible. I'm in the space, but I don't choose the games. I don't manage behavior unless something's getting a little salty. I trust that the individuals that are coming out can handle things. And one of the things that I've noticed is that the minute a new person sees that there's not going to be any judgment if they need to stim or if they gaffe somewhere or whatever, like it's interesting to watch over the course of coming out a couple of times that they know they're safe. Because we're not going to ask them to, I was absolutely gobsmacked. Last week we had board games night. A new member came out and they shared that another service provider provides some kind of social night and they walk people to the bathroom. And these are adults who are independent in their activities of daily living, smart folk who do not need their handheld for that. And I was like, what the forking chicken? Like, how does that show somebody you believe in them and build competence? And so that's why we're talking about today, like codependence. Could that be an example of people trying to foster this codependent?
No, it's not codependence. That's
I wonder,
taking agency away. Codependence is
that
a
might be
dependence on each other, like, and they feel have different roles. No, that's that's taking away independence and autonomy and agency altogether in one swoop.
but I
Codependence
wonder,
is something slightly different.
okay, so yes, and.
I feel that way anyways.
No, I don't disagree with you, but what I'm wondering is, are there folks who get into roles that are supposed to be providing support because they need to be needed?
It's infantilization is what it is.
I feel like it's so many things at
Yeah.
at once that it's very messy.
Yeah.
Like, it's like some people might see it as, I struggle, the word you just said, I struggle to, like, I can hear it in my head, but sometimes I struggle to say it out loud.
Yeah.
Infantilization.
Yes,
I struggle
that
with
word.
that is
infantilization.
I can hear it so clearly in here, but my mouth's like, nope. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
I
have
took the risk on it. Yeah.
So thank you for saying the word, Maddie, but because I agree with that. And then taking away agency, taking away independence, codependence. I
think it's
I think I've mentioned before, but I worked in recreation helping kids, teens, and adults with disabilities. And I was really trying to foster the independence. But some of my coworkers, and some of them even still there, I'm like, you've been there how long? Like, you just have this complex of wanting to be a savior.
This is what I'm saying.
So, yeah, I'll leave that there for now, but we can continue after.
But that's what I wonder, if when we're talking about these different aspects, we've talked before about bias, and we've talked before about how people have preconceived notions of capacity and capability. And one thing, and I am going to pause a lot because I had to fight this with my son. And I'm sure Sydney's had to fight it for themselves. I'm sure Maddie's had to fight it for themselves and their kids. And I know Paul's had to, step in to do this. The school system wanted to create a compliant, dependent kid. Right. And like every freaking day. And I'm just looking at all the words because they're great words. They did not want to encourage autonomy. They did not want to encourage independence. And in my house, all of those are welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to know I believe you're capable. One thing I used to say to my son is, I wouldn't get angry if I didn't think you could do better.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't think you were capable of more, I'd be like, well, that's just all he can do. I don't mind if my kids fail. I don't mind if they F up. I don't mind, all of those things, because you're trying new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder if that's, like, to Sydney's point, do we want to start with schools or service providers? Do we just want to, like, where do we want to go with this? What are we thinking?
Well,
yeah,
compliance is compliance is the word that schools the moment somebody in school throws that word around, you realize what their intent is. Like, they're no longer hiding it. They're bringing it out in the open, and that's where you start seeing a path forward or a path elsewhere. We do not, in our school system today, we're not building compliant kids, except the exceptionals. Yeah. Okay, that's a whole other podcast. Not even a podcast topic. That's a whole other podcast. I think if you ask any educator in general, what's the purpose of a school, a school, and what's the purpose of the school system, they're not going to say compliant. They're not going to say to build compliant kids. They're going to give all kinds of other colorful words, about strong and educated and like a whole crap load of stuff that they believe in. But if you are one of those kids that bucks the trend of normal,
Oh, you'll hear about compliant.
you're gonna
Coming
the
out.
further you are away from their unattainable ideal, they're
Yeah.
going to start using the words compliance, or they're going to start treating you that way. They're going to try to bring it about until eventually they say the word, and then you realize as a parent, oh crap, this is really what we're fighting here. Because we don't want compliant kids. We want resilient kids, and we're trying to help our kids become resilient, but also become kids with agency, kids with as much independence as they can. Exactly. But that's like, if you're pushing against it, if you're causing trouble, if you've got behaviors, and I'm all these things going to use a fake voice for, you're exactly. The response that the system has is trying to bring you back into compliance so that you can be like the other kids, at least in terms of the effort that they have to use towards you.
Don't even. So that last. Okay. So for context, Maddie and I have known each other for about 8 years, 7 years, whatever. And they spit that last sentence, which has gone out of my head, but I know is really important, and I'm going to have to look at the transcript. Sydney, when you were working in the programs.
Yes.
I would love your perspective on this, because I have a lot of big feelings about this. So I'm going to try my best to not let my big feelings out.
Namaste.
Now am I going to go? Now am I going to?
Now am I going to give you up?
Never going to let you down. Never going to run around and desert you. You started it. So Sydney, you're working in those programs, and I just rickrolled you. Would have had to take training.
Yes.
So within that training to deliver those types of programs for kids, was the C word ever used?
It wasn't used, but kind of reading between. Are you clarifying what the C word is?
Compliance.
Comply.
Maddie is not complying right now.
That's your C word. Yep. Keep going, Sydney. I'll mute them if I have to.
The word wasn't used directly, but
implied.
Especially in the programs, we would have programs where it was just for neurodivergent and disabled kids, teens, and adults. And then we also had programs, especially for kids, where we would integrate them into mainstream programming.
Yes, air quotes going on, folks.
Yes, air quotes, sorry. And that, it was similar trainings, but it was also different based on the environment. Felt like when we had to integrate kids into the mainstream program, either that be swimming, skating, camps, different. It was more implied that they had to be compliant, even though that word wasn't used. But it was and versus when they could be amongst each other, and there was more. I feel like they started to be compliant, still adhere to certain rules and expectations, but it wasn't as. It seemed like they're okay. They already we know they're already. It felt like they could kind of get rid of it as kids, or be compliant as kids, and then as teens and adults, this is who they are. And so that was a very interesting dichotomy between the both, and even because staff would work in either both, and would work in both or work on one or the other. I would work in both, and even just the attitudes of the staff in the different environments. Again, there were some similarities, but also it was different based on those trainings.
I had an interview with my cousin who works in employment. I'm not going to share names or anything. And one thing that I found very telling was the executive director of the various organizations that she'd worked in shaped the focus for the agency. Now, the common theme was employment, but who they would help and what resources they would develop and bring in was shaped by the experience of the executive director and the senior leadership team. So if they defaulted to the traditional, I'm going to hire the same person over and over again, we now have a very limited talent pool and idea pool at the senior leadership level to be more open-minded, right? So we're not saying that kids should run feral, by the way. Like, I'm Gen X and did run feral, which probably explains the challenges I had in school. But we have to navigate the line between compliance and crushing, right? Like, and we need to navigate using compliance in a way. There are rules to getting along with other people.
I have a question for when you're done your point, Elizabeth.
Oh, please.
Are you done your point?
I can be, yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, I'm in.
My question, because you're like, and you said about your experience, and I think like sometimes they're forcing us to be compliant so much, or like instead of just meeting us really where we're at, that I felt, for me personally, I felt like I would rebel instead and go even more off the rails or more.
Oh God, yeah.
I figured you guys would agree, relate to this because
damn words.
Yeah. Worst thing you can say to me on the planet is you have to do it this way.
Yes. I just like challenge
accepted.
And I think I don't think a lot of educators, they don't understand that.
Nope. They just saw me.
There's a term.
Disciplined and whatever.
I can't remember the term, but it's like, you want me to do something? I'm going to do the complete opposite thing.
Oppositional defiant disorder.
Yes, that.
Oh, that's the odd one that doesn't exist.
But it's also like, I think it's just a thing.
Yeah.
I think what they did was medicalize people who had a hard time being told what to do all the time, so that they could diagnose them and label them and then subjugate them.
And that particular one is we've done some research on it, and it's significantly applied towards black boys. It is.
Wow.
And and when somebody without bias or with less bias redoes them later in their teen or adult years, it's autism 90% of the time. Oppositional defiant disorder is one of those that really doesn't exist, because it's all based on it's based on what a white boy should be, and if you're not that, just like autism used to be, like, what a white boy should. But this one was even worse, because once you're labeled that, I know I had somebody close to our family, who, they were a black family, related to us in a way. Their son was diagnosed with that at 6, and the doctor said, and I'm really sorry about that, because there's nothing really you can do with these kids.
So for context, folks, Maddie was the parent of 2 biracial kids. Sydney is also biracial. I am white as the driven snow, so can't get any whiter than the face that you might be looking at right now. However, if anybody, do you remember that? I always quote movies a lot. Is anybody, I know, Miss Congeniality?
Oh, yes.
Okay, you remember the QA thing, and she's sitting down and whatever, and she says, and if anybody tried to hurt one of my friends, I would come for them and whatever. Best scene ever. Anytime anybody came at me about one of my kids and the whole compliant need to do what they're told thing, I had to look at the floor. And for anybody who knows me, if I'm looking at the floor, that's because I'm about to unleash a whole bunch of crap shit all over your head. And I am trying my level best to not do that, because sometimes we need to follow the rules to get what we want. And they'd be like, Thomas needs to, this, and Vanessa, and I had a chemistry teacher call me. My daughter is 18. She be an adult. And this woman is trying to guilt me into getting my daughter to do the work in chemistry. And I'm letting her jibber jabber on, and I'm going, oh, fuck. And I went, just for curious, is this the tactic you used with my daughter? What do you mean? I'm like, this whole guilting, trying to get me to love your feelings or whatever shit that you're doing right now. And I did use shit. I'm like, whatever this guilting shit you're trying to, I'm like, is this how you spoke to my daughter? And she's, yes, I think I might have tried to get her to understand how important it was to me. And I'm like, okay, just between you and me, she's not going to give a shit. If she's not in it, your feelings, and I'm on her side with this. I don't care how you feel about this. If she's 18, I can't force her. If she's not going to do the work, that sounds like a teaching issue that you might want to work on. And guilting people to get on your side and be compliant, that doesn't work on certain population.
Yeah. It doesn't work.
I'm more like, how can I hurt your feelings more?
Yeah. You've basically raised a red flag to a bull in a china shop.
100%. I need to.
There's a bunch of mixed metaphors.
Feelings matter to me, and I don't know you. I don't know what you're doing. I know you're failing my kid, but other than that, if you think you failing my kid because you're a shitty teacher is going to endear you to me, let me disabuse you of that notion right now. I have a definition of compliance.
Oh.
No, you didn't even hear me type.
No, I was too busy talking, hearing my own voice.
Yeah, see, well, now I'm ninja typing just to see if I can get it in without you noticing.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you so much. I should do this more often.
Compliance is the act of adhering to established rules, laws, regulations, or standards. Depending on the context, it defines how organizations maintain legal boundaries, how bodies respond to medical treatment, weird, or even serves as the title of a psychological thriller film. Go AI. So in the corporate world, here we go. We're going to try and, okay. So compliance, yes, you have to have that organizationally. In healthcare, which compliance relates to a patient's actions, such as taking prescribed medications, following diets, or attending therapy as directed by a doctor. This is kind of awful. High medication compliance, often called adherence, is critical for managing chronic conditions and recovering from illness safely. That's a pretty weird recommendation to make. And just for pop culture reference, Compliance is a 2012 American psychological thriller based on scam calls. Just for that. You will send me $500 in gift cards now? Or
I have a particular set of skills that if you do not comply, I will find you.
Oh, I refined it. Compliance in schools involves students following directions and adhering to behavioral rules. The logic being it ensures a safe and manageable learning environment. There's the kicking word, folks.
Manageable.
Should not be on a t-shirt. While it establishes necessary order, educators often balance this by shifting focus towards intrinsic motivation, as strict obedience can stifle student creativity and engagement. I'm thinking some schools missed that memo. Oh, okay. Yeah. Challenges and neurodiversity.
Okay.
AI has done this. Yeah, I didn't add neurodiversity in this at all. This is
It just knows
this
you.
good old
It knows
Gemini
you.
or whatever it is. For some students, especially those navigating neurodivergence, like ADHD or learning disabilities or trauma, mandating compliance can be incredibly difficult and stressful. We should do a workshop on this. In these cases, constant demands for quiet obedience can lead to anxiety and suppress natural curiosity. The Learning Disabilities Association of America outlines that understanding environmental stresses, teaching relaxation skills, and setting clear but flexible limits can significantly improve student cooperation. Which leads us to our next point. Sydney, what would you think is the difference between compliance and cooperation?
That's a big. I'm trying to think of how to.
Hey,
Yeah,
it's
I'm trying to
actually
think of how to word it.
Hang
Maddie,
on,
go
Maddie.
ahead.
Okay.
Maddie, go ahead.
it's actually okay. So I do talks on language and strength-based language, and 3 years ago, out of a conversation I had with a very good friend of mine who is my co-conspirator in no, not you, a different person. I have a lot. I have other Elizabeths. I have a doctor. I have a doctor. I know. I get around.
Talk anymore. You're cheating.
It's what it's more of a poly relationship in terms of friends. I can. Okay,
You're
now I'm getting distracted from what I'm trying to say. Exactly. Yeah.
Sir,
Welcome to the podcast. Yes. It's called Follow the Squirrel, if you can.
T-shirt.
T-shirt. Okay, so we had a conversation similar to this, and in the end, we realized that the opposite to enforcing compliance is building and expecting cooperation. If you're you can flip the narrative and work.
Cooperation is in play.
Yeah, like cooperation. Working towards cooperation can actually. For the first thing it does is it gives back agency, because you're looking at the expectation instead of looking at the expectation of a particular thing. You're working towards a common goal together and working like you're shifting so that you can get there instead of pulling to drag them to a place.
Pushing versus forcing.
Yeah.
This is I have a lot of
somebody who has a challenge with demand avoidance.
Yeah.
Cannot be pulled towards compliance. It is never going to happen. The bull in the china shop is going to go to the museum next.
Well, that's so ADHD, folks, just for those of you that are new to it, has this built-in demand avoidance thing. And I never understood it because, of course, I'm of the vintage that girls did not have ADHD. I was just a mouthy bitch. I didn't get called the B word when I was
MDHD. MBHD, yeah.
What's that?
A mouthy bitch who's hyperactive disorder.
I wasn't hyperactive.
Okay. Well,
yeah, so here's
MBD.
Yeah. I was actually able to sit. I don't have the hyperkinetic component. Mine is all mental. Just the mouth and the brain. Yeah. 100%. And I know you're meaning that, but 100% true. Yeah. Which is why I kind of evaded detection because I did not back in my day. So I'm 56 for context. I have been told I look 45, so I'm just putting that out there.
I thought it was older.
Gordon's very impressed with your. He's like, her skin is so glowy. What do you mean?
Thank you. And I have the mouth of a 22-year-old, so that's the other challenge.
Sailor.
I can sit. I do have Sailor Mouth. But I can sit for extended periods. I don't have to tap my foot. I can have those moments, but brain wise, my brain literally never stops. I go to bed thinking. Here's what I have to do to get to sleep, folks. So if anybody else has ADHD, you can take one or all of these. None of them are pharmaceutical. I have a mushroom-based hot chocolate from a company called Sprues, and it is a no sugar mushroom-based. I know it sounds awful, but mwah. And it's specifically designed with that mushroom blend, and it works for me. If you have any other conditions going on, like, be smart about what I'm about to say. Then I also take a CBD, CBN, no THC gummy. We have a lot of addiction in my family. So I am very, very cautious about anything that has psychotropic impact or like it takes, sometimes the Tylenol. And then it's not naturopathic. It is naturopathic, but there's a different name for it. It's called Rescue Remedy. And it's a holistic drop. It's like a wide brand name. It's not some little witchcraft situation that I brewed up. But some nights, that's what it takes for me to be able to actually fall asleep because my brain doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And that's how so for me to be compliant in school was a problem because I was already 5 steps ahead of what the teacher had asked.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of went, yeah, no, I'm good. Like, I've already seen the outcome for that. I'm like 9.
Yeah.
But they didn't ask. They told.
Yeah.
Had they asked, I would have had and I'm not talking about entitlement's going to be another podcast. And I'm not gentle parenting anything. I don't subscribe to the whole gentle parenting thing. But okay, so I'm pausing because Sydney, if somebody asks you, so out of the 3 of us on the surface, Sydney and Paul, or 4 of us, sorry, are more on the compliant side of stuff. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. They are far more accommodating and
they're not shit disturbers, at least as much as we are.
As much as. So, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
Oh, we do it in a different way, Maddie.
This is what I'm saying.
I know you do. Exactly.
So when you get asked or you get told to do something, Sydney.
Yes.
I'm being serious for a second because this is a thing, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Does your body do anything? Does your brain do anything? Or do you just go, oh, okay?
That's an interesting question because I think it depends on who's asking.
Ooh, okay. Tell me more.
And I think I talk a lot about safety on this podcast, but safety is super important to me, and I know it's super important to other people, and I want to bring light to that. And I think if I don't know the person, and I think it also from trauma and abuse, which I've also briefly spoken about in this podcast. So I think if I don't know the person, I'm more likely to comply and to accommodate and to do it. But if I know the person and feel safe with that person, and I might push back.
Mm-hmm.
And folks, that was so Sydney. I'm almost in tears, and this is one of the reasons we're talking about this, folks, is because when you are working with a neurodivergent individual, they are already at risk of complying to things that are not in their best interest. They are already, in some cases, trying to fit in and trying to get a network and trying to get, they're already struggling to navigate certain things. And I will bet you that there are folks who sense what Sydney just said and understand that they're in an authority position and it's all about the movies today. It's like Ella Enchanted, where she was.
Oh my god, no, wait. Ella Enchanted. And have you read the book?
No, I haven't read the book.
Because there's the book, which is Ella isn't obviously a headcanon, isn't canon autistic, but a lot of autistic women identify with Ella.
Because she's given the gift of obedience.
When I first read the book and watched the movie, I felt so seen by Ella. Like, I literally cried reading that book. And it's one of my... And then they're actually making a remake, which is closer to the book anyway. But I felt so seen. She's the producer. She's a producer.
I love her so much.
I felt so seen by the character of Ella and then people are like, oh, Ella, like, a lot of people love Ella Enchanted, the movie.
Love.
Right? And then I was just like...
Seen it 20 times.
I just watched it again this weekend, like, to relax. Like, and I think we're just having that conversation. It's just like so many autistic women, and I've talked to other autistic women since then, and they also see themselves in Ella. And so, yes, like, and notice how, like, again, like, in Ella Enchanted, when she doesn't feel safe, she, like, even though it's her gift, but, like, when she starts feeling safe with her true love, Prince Char, she starts feeling safe and feeling like
she doesn't have, because he's asking her not to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think that's the difference, is that the people who abuse her gift, especially the ones that know about it, why her mom says before she dies,
don't tell anyone. Yeah,
heads up, it's a Disney movie, somebody's gonna die. She says, don't tell anybody about your gift, because mom knows if the wrong, and sure enough, some dickheads figure it out, and they abuse the heck out of it. But Char asks. Char doesn't tell. And a really important...
I feel like it also goes with assumption too. Like, they assume once they know, like, we can make her do what we want. And Char never makes that assumption. That asks. And that's, I think, that applies to real life. How when you don't assume, when you ask, curiosity, getting to know a person, get to know them, versus when you're just telling and just assuming incompetent, you're assuming all these different things.
Yeah. And so I'm glad I brought that up, because now I'm going to go down.
I can talk about Ella Enchanted.
Love Ella Enchanted.
I can talk about Ella Enchanted all day.
Have another podcast solely about
that. Welcome to the Ella Enchanted podcast.
Welcome. Tell me your name.
We're trademarked or sued or something.
Yeah.
I love that movie for many reasons, and the main one is that so if you haven't seen the movie, the premise of the movie is that it's Cinderella based, but fairies go about the land and they provide, much like Sleeping Beauty, they give gifts. And this drunken, not great fairy happens to arrive when Ella's crying and gives her the gift of obedience, and you can't get the fairy to take it back. They won't. And so Ella has to navigate life constantly internally rebelling.
It's time to stand up and stretch. Let's take a break for 10 minutes.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh. Yeah, don't hurt yourself.
Somebody put a table where my elbow was.
That's not very nice of them.
Ow.
Jerks.
Funny bone.
The premise is just essentially how she regains her agency through making the decision that she will have agency, and her breaking point is, I will no longer be, I think she says, I will no longer be obedient.
Yes, she says, I will no longer be obedient.
In the mirror, the hollow mirror.
Yes.
But you could change that with, I will no longer be compliant. And I've seen it over and over again where folks get to know that if I put a little bit of fear behind what I'm going to say, certain people, I would love if you guys have seen this. I've seen it where I get new folks coming out to program, And I'm asking them questions. I'm engaging with them. I'm not asking mom and dad. And if mom and dad answer, I will say, you know what? I'm pretty confident that mouth isn't for decoration. So we're going to try. And they will look to mom and dad for, and I worry about that. Like, I worry about it. I worry about the motivation of looking to mom and dad for the answers.
And I mean, we've talked about it, whether it's on the podcast or in conversations we've had or on other podcasts that you and I may have done.
But I have to.
Yeah. I think that what this codependent relationship that happens between parents and kids, you know, this is, I think, where the codependence comes in. It's learned dependence.
Learned helplessness.
Learned helplessness. Yeah. And it happens out of love and concern, but there's a point where the fear of the kids being hurt, being whatever, you hold on to doing things for them and guiding them things, and they miss they miss the point that their kids become adults too, and at some point they need to be able to stand on their own, answer their own questions, be confident in the things that they're doing themselves. And again, it generally comes out of a place of love and fear. And so you end up making kids compliant without realizing it. You make the kids dependent without realizing it. So there just needs to be intentionality to step from that and find the way to build independence and build autonomy. And again, it's accepting one thing: your kids who are adults have agency. How do you give it back to them? How do you let them find it?
If you've accidentally, so you use the word guiding and triggered something for me, not like in a trauma way, but my thought was, when does guiding become too much? Like you've moved from guiding to, and the word is escaping me to replace it, but you're no longer guiding. You're just doing it for the person all the time.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that a lot. Like my son was about 10. He drives me crazy. He was a very compliant kid, not because we made him be, as far as I am aware. He was just born that way initially. And I almost had to, and I didn't do this, but I almost had to beat that out of him. Like, I needed him to know that it was okay to push back. I needed him to know that he had a voice. I needed him to know that he was not going to get punished for, speaking his mind and whatever. I wonder if part of that, he was an anxious kid. And we slowly but surely supported him out of that. And what I mean by that is, like, sometimes his fear of what could happen would overtake the opportunity to do something new. And we'd be like, buddy, like, all you get, try once. If you don't like it, you get hurt, like, whatever. Like, we're going to be right here. We're not throwing you into the deep end and, like, abandoning. We're going to be right beside you. But, you can go through life being afraid to do stuff like that. It's going to be pretty boring after a while. So he was about 10, and I was sitting in the living room. I don't know if I told him to do something or I asked him to do something, or, like, I can't remember how it entirely rang out, but he talked back. And I was like, now, don't, in the moment, just because that's what parents do, I was like, don't you, like, you watch your tongue, young man. There's tone there. Like, you have the right to say you don't want to do that, but you don't need to use that tone and da-da-da-da. and then he walked away. And I was like, fuck yeah. Good for you. Like,
Yeah.
and I
Mhm.
pulled back on stopping him from, like, he needs to know he can talk back.
hmm
Now he won't shut up, but that's a whole nother.
Yeah. With my youngest, like she was similar. Very 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 compliant. Very doing what
Easy
people. Yeah,
Sorry,
easygoing.
too bad.
Very easygoing. But also kind of manipulatable because she would just do whatever because she wanted to be.
She
But
wants
she didn't really have a voice because I mean she had a difficult time stepping in and saying something when it like especially around other people. But we started playing Uno together every night, and she got competitive, and I let her yell and scream and say things, and it's like she discovered she had a voice.
voice.
So
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
let her yell and exclaim and say things to me in whatever way, knowing that with me it was safe. But it
Yeah.
Mhm.
like teachers found like they saw a major change in her because she was learning that she could speak, she had a voice, she could say no, she could say I don't like this, she could say I need this, and you know 6 years later she's able to say when something doesn't work or when she wants something in a way that like okay, she had other sisters who did all of the talking all of the time and had no
Mhm.
problem saying that they wanted this or didn't want that. That was never their problem. I have two
Mhm.
completely uncompliant kids. But this one is like so she was like fighting that kind of mentality and was very different. She's built very differently. But yeah, like knowing that she had a voice and could use it and had a safe place to just push against anything. Um, yeah, it's like she discovered herself, and it was a huge change for her, and everybody realized it, and it was very positive.
You just brought me up another Ella Enchanted story because putting together for the first time. Part of the storyline for Ella Enchanted is she's very social justice focused
Mhm.
and wanting to make life better for the ogres and the giants, and everybody should, and I agree. But I'm wondering if that's because she knows what it's like to not have. I never put that together before. Like I think I sort of did, but
It's also
I
why I
wonder.
don't like the terms like self-advocate because a lot of us are really good at advocating for others, horrible for advocating for ourselves. We either don't know how or don't think we can or should, but we see it in everything else, and I think we throw some of that energy
Mhm.
elsewhere.
Yeah, like
There's
again,
nothing wrong with being self-advocate. So just so
Oh,
people,
I
yeah,
it's
know.
not
I'm just saying the
no,
term
go with
self
it.
is a
Be fine.
misnomer for a lot of us. Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah.
again, when I was working in recreation, helping the kids, teens, and adults, I would advocate for them, but then I had really struggled to advocate for
hmm
myself. But then I was feeling burnt out. I was feeling, and I was like, if I
hmm
want to keep being a good advocate, and I can't keep not advocating for myself in situations, I felt like for me to when I started advocating for myself, it was through advocating for others, and I realized that I had to also start advocating for myself. Otherwise, I'd be burnt out. I would, feel not resentment towards them, but resentment for everyone else. I was like, why? What? Like, why? I'm advocating for everyone else. Why is no one advocating for me? And I was like, oh, I have to advocate for myself first in different situations, and
Yeah,
It's the whole
that
airline oxygen mask, right?
that
I was
changed
about
my
to say the same
trajectory of
thing.
my career.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hmm.
airline, like you got
yeah,
to put your mask on first.
yeah.
That completely changed my trajectory in how I went about my life when I had that click.
And so did you, okay, so that's a really interesting. So was it being in the situation, because there's multiple questions about that. Was it
Hmm.
being in the situation where you were advocating for others?
Hmm.
Did somebody come into your life at that point who was encouraging you to advocate for yourself, or basically saying, you know what, Sydney, it's okay to ask for time off. It's okay to say that
It
you
was
can't do
it was it was So like it was a very interesting time in my life because like I was getting my education, my post-secondary education, getting my advanced diploma and my degree, and then I was working in the recreation environment. But then I also, in my personal life, things were kind of a hot mess, to put it simply. And so it was a combination of I was able now to advocate for myself some ways in the school system now in post-secondary, while also advocating for kids, teens, and adults in my recreational and my job at that time. But then in my personal life, I still struggle with that, and that's the social aspect of advocating for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of hit a rock bottom with the social aspect of advocating for myself and other issues. And so I think all three working in tandem really, especially, I think even like the opposite of not, and to put it simply, I was taken advantage of in some situations. And so I didn't like that feeling anymore. And I was tired. I was like, and so I kind of did a 180. He was like, no, I'm going to advocate for myself. And it's like, I had advocated for myself in other situations, but I really still struggled with like in social situations, like in interpersonal relationships. And so that kind of had last straw, and I was like, no, I need to advocate for myself. My needs are valid. This is what and so I had that moment.
But that's a huge thing that Maddie and I have talked about this before. I'm not sure if we've addressed it, and we'll start to wrap up with that. Is that advocacy is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
How your life is rolling out, how compliant you are, how much help you receive, all of those types of things involves a choice. And sitting back and saying it's everybody else's fault, which we've all run into folks, and that's their default. How that got developed can be, I'm not, who knows? There's always a story behind the way somebody behaves. And if you're in a situation like Sydney, like Maddie, like myself, where you've gone through periods of time where you haven't had a voice, or you haven't felt like you could speak up and get what you needed, the key thing that we all share that is universally acknowledged is effort and education. If you don't make the effort to change how things are going, and what that can mean is like what Sydney's done, where they were in a situation where they saw what happened when they advocated for the kids, and they were like, I can start to learn about that. Right? I would assume that within your HR training, how to handle those types of situations, like there's some education pieces must have been coming into the mix.
Yes, like all of that at the same time. Like the HR training, working in the recreation environment, having some personal struggles. I call it my big bang because it's just like it changed. This is in 2017. I wouldn't be 2017 was a hard year for me, and I took all the lessons. I learned so much that year, including, and I wouldn't be who I am today without those. And now everything's a building block from there. Yes.
But that's the major thing that I know Maddie and I've talked about extensively, is that folks won't make the effort. And I'm saying won't because education is a choice, folks. What you choose to fill your brain with is a choice. If you are choosing to fill your brain, which I do sometimes, but I also have 3 college degrees and I've done a fair bit of extensive learning. So I think my brain can take some YouTube shorts. But if you're filling your brain with YouTube shorts every day, and you're filling your brain with video games, and you're filling out, all of them have a place. Not knocking any of them. All of them have a place. But this requires balance. If you are tired of being taken advantage of, if you are tired of having to be compliant, if you are tired of having to, if you're losing agency, if you are tired of not being independent, folks, there's only one person who's going to pick your shit up and help you get it together, and that is you. I guarantee you have folks in your network, and what I mean by network could be family,
your circle of influence,
whoever you've got around you.
Yeah.
If you say, you know what, I'd like, if asking for help is too much, which is fair because that's a scary thing to do, then how about the phrase, I'd like to learn more about whatever. I'd like to learn more about advocacy. I'd like to learn more about what it takes to be independent. I'd like to learn more about, we can ask AI. I guarantee you somebody can connect you to some resources, and you have to commit the time to filling your knowledge gaps. And I think that's what Sydney is addressing, is that they had some knowledge gaps around how to advocate for themselves, how to find their voice. Nobody gets taught how to do this.
Yeah.
Nobody gets taught how to do this. Right. Some of us come out of the gate with a big mouth.
And the biggest problem is shutting it.
No. So I know you're joking, but no, the biggest problem isn't shutting it. The biggest problem is my filter.
Yes.
That's not a problem.
For me, it was knowing when to talk and when to listen. Learning to listen was my was the thing that the biggest thing that I needed. Yeah, that was my big bang. Yeah. Learning, because until I learned to listen, I actually did not learn how to properly self-advocate.
You would have missed so much, right? Because we're so, and I have these moments, trust me, where I'm so up in my head. I had to have a very difficult conversation with somebody the other day, and had to prepare myself, and it did not go the way I had planned. It went 6,000% better than what I had planned, which was fantastic. But I had to bring something with me, which was my water bottle, to remind me to just sit and listen versus trying to solve, because that's my default.
Yep.
It's, how can I help? What can I do? Which can be a lot for some folks. But yeah, at the end of the day, anything that we've talked about here, right? When we talk about independence, codependence, what those relationships look like, whatever, if you are not happy in how your life is going, you have a choice. I'm not saying go feral and F everybody and go bananas, but I am saying you could do one small thing a day for learning. If we were to pick some resources, like I look at Jessica McCabe, who does How to ADHD, and there's another YouTube channel, Chris and Debbie, and he's multiply neurodivergent, but addresses all of these types of things. There's also it's a family. It's a guy and his wife.
Oh, the Hollander family.
I just read their book. It's really good.
Yeah.
The Hollander. So if you're YouTubing anyway, YouTube smart. Is there any other resources?
I think there's the Autistic Rambler podcast. I've heard about that.
They're a little inconsistent, so
yeah.
But they do have some great content.
Really good. Yeah. Love the hosts.
The hosts are awesome.
They're radiant.
Apparently they glow. That would be us. So, you know what? We'll try, folks, and get some resources together to share. But if you're looking for content in a spot that you're already consuming, type in neurodivergence and advocacy. Type in, how to manage not having an ADHD filter. Ask, if you're working in the AI space, ask AI, give me 10, here's a prompt for you. Not to encourage sucking up water and killing resources, but we're all using it anyway. Give me 10 resources that can help me better navigate how to be cooperative, but not compliant. And what can I do to learn to understand the difference?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good prompt.
I'm in a situation, another prompt. I'm in a situation. I use Gemini for a thinking partner for some counselor-based stuff. And I'm like, I'm in a situation where I feel like somebody's taken away my agency because this is how they speak to me, and this is how they do this, and this is how they do that. This is how it makes me feel. What are some ways I can learn to manage that better? There's all kinds of ways. I mean, agency doesn't have an I in it, but it should. Does it? No, it doesn't.
Only when it's
Mm.
plural.
Agencies.
Mm.
Why becomes
Okay,
I?
it's just one thing I've been thinking about, and it's a really weird irony that a lot of time the places where you have where agency is much harder to find in an like and have tend to be because it's an agency that thinks
Yes.
it's there can
Mm-hmm.
they must think that there can only be agency in one place. But it's a lot. I find it's a lot of the service provider agencies that have this mentality that they're doing things for us, and so compliance is the only way they can make that happen. And it's a big job, and it's one of the things that I've been working with some of these organizations and talking to them and being invited to speak to their managers and their execs is really trying to flip like what agency means and who it actually should be centered on. But it's the irony.
Yeah. An independent life requires agency.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yep.
Living independently requires
Mm-hmm.
agency.
Yeah.
And if the agencies that you're going to gain those skills, you don't feel they're a good fit, you have the right to say no. And you have the right
Mm-hmm.
to say, this isn't working for what I need, and find somewhere else. It's effort. Okay, so to wrap up on that.
This has been a hard one. Like, this is a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
But the three folks on this podcast have found that agency, have been able to over time claim that agency, and
Sometimes
now we want to and we take the agency, and now we want to help others because we see how important it is in our own lives and in the
Mm-hmm.
kids that we have involvement with. It makes a huge difference.
Through Employment Works, through Job Lab, through Board Game Night, we've seen the difference it makes.
Yeah.
So,
I wanted to end in hope. Yeah.
Use my peace station. No.
Let's all get our stimmies out.
Some of us.
Yeah, well, I also have spinal cord injury, so I do get spastic at times. There we go. There we go.
They gave me that one. Was it Paul that brought that one?
I think Paul showed it and then you bought it.
Instantaneously?
Or made it. Exactly. Yeah.
So what we were just showing, I have a gold Cuban cube. I hold, it's got something on it. So you hold the ends and you can either do a spinny thing. The chief thing for me and anything that's spinny for anybody that's around me is it needs to be silent because I will throat punch if it's clicky, whatever. It's just a thing. Or you can just manipulate it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then what are you using, Maddie?
I have a it's a highlighter thing here. It's a fidget spinner, but it's got highlighters at the end, so it's both functional
and decorative.
And
did it just decorate your pants?
It went in 6 different directions. I pulled one off. There we go. It's the top part is a highlighter, so you can take it off.
Oh,
and it's 3 different colors. But it's a fidget spinner.
And then mine's a ring. It has stars and moons on it. You can either do it like this, or you can spin it.
So it has a little bit of tactile, or you can just flickety flick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were at an event yesterday, Paul Coleman and I, and it was something.
Was he the quicker picker clicker?
Love Paul. Shout out to Paul. So at one point,
Mr. Paul,
missed you, Paul.
He was organizing everything to be like perpendicular and whatever, which I was like, and of course,
me cat. Did you
So I
become
was like-
cat-like? Oh,
I was moving the
you don't do
Anyway.
that to us. No,
No.
no.
and then what did he start doing? So was it like a tapping thing? It was like a rapid tapping. And I
Mhm.
just very quietly went and put my hand over there and just went,
Hand over hand.
find something else. It was rat-a-tat-tatting and in the middle of the meeting, right? So it wasn't, yeah. So then they ended up, I think he ended up like, that one, knock yourself out.
Moo-hoo-hoo-hawing.
Yeah. So what I just demonstrated was Paul requires a kinetic thing for a fidget spinner, which totally on board.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really, really good at finding ones when he knows I'm going to be around that are quiet. But the tapping one was like a machine gun going off. And I was like, okay, friend. Romper, bumper, stomper, do. I'm going to tap your too.
Yeah, I'll just say you have a keyboard that drives some of us insane.
But I'm not doing that I'm not sitting here going, while that's a functional thing. And then something else that they were doing
different and acceptable.
Oh, so they had managed to put he goes by he. I'm flipping between he and they. Nobody cares. So he had taken the folder with all the information, a business card, and something else, and like it was all. And then his phone was sitting beside it, and I noticed it was out of alignment. So I started like with one finger poking it into alignment.
And then he put his hand on your hand.
We were killing ourselves. I was disruptive yesterday. Sorry, Cam.
No.
I was a little disruptive. It was not intentional. It's just, I was
It's
not
the way
being
you're built.
compliant.
It's the way you're built.
It's the way you're built.
You're not wrong. I have heard that before. So, won't be the first time. Why can't you follow the rules? Should be on a t-shirt for me. Why can't you do it like everybody else?
Rules? Where we're going, we don't need rules.
So, to wrap up, we were serious for a moment, and then we broke the fourth wall. We hope this gives you some ideas. We hope you know that it is a struggle to gain agency if it has been intentionally or accidentally lowered for you. Yes, it's going to take effort, but yes, you can achieve it. And yeah, like if this Riff Raff group can figure it out, I'm telling you.
There's hope for you too.
There's hope for you too.
So by the way, our theme is pirates. If that didn't give you a
With the Riff Raff.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We really appreciate it. We've gone a little longer today, but we also had to get our dance movement in. So everybody's going to say goodbye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
I know. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Paul's not here, so we have to wait until Paul realizes Paul has to say goodbye.
And end scene.
End scene. Hey, this is Elizabeth Blue from Spiro, Canada, one of your pirates on the Riff Raff podcast team. My fellow pirates include Maddie Dever from Autistic Bridge, Sydney Elaine Rutler from Accessible Creates, and Paul Coleman from Creation Designs, who is our very own Arctic LARPing Santa. Thank you for joining us on the Neurospicy Seas, and we wish fair winds to you all.